Greetings, citizens. On today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast, Twitter has dropped $25 billion in its valuation. And according to reports, studios have cut by like 50% their spending on the platform. We'll talk about why. Also, Hunger Games, it looks like their cast are going to be able to actually start going out and promoting the movie as they have struck a deal with SAG for an interim agreement. Also, the new Godzilla series, Monarch, that's coming to Apple TV+. The first reviews are coming out and it's looking really promising. AMC is getting into the secret screening business. The first one is this Monday and it just might be the Marvels. We'll talk about why and what the other options are. And finally, Deadpool 3 reportedly has now set a resumption of their production for January of 2024. We'll talk about that and a whole bunch more. The John Campea Show podcast starts right now. Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show podcast, coming from right here in our quaint little studio, brought to you in part by our friends at Mint Mobile. I am, of course, your host, John Campea, and it is an awesome honor and privilege, as it is every day, to have you, our international friends, gather around as we talk about our favorite things in the world, movies, movie news, TV, and streaming, all sorts of good things on this glorious Halloween. So happy Halloween to all you guys. Not just giving you our opinions, but also hopefully giving you some information and context so you guys can form your own well-informed opinions, whether they're the same or even completely different than ours. I'm joined in studio by Ray Ora.
He didn't dress up today.
No, Ray, I thought you were going to dress up today, Ray. Also sitting over there is oh, you got the teeth too.
Oh, dang.
He's got the eyes.
I didn't notice you
going.
had the contacts earlier. You look great.
I didn't know the inside of an ear looked like that.
Jonathan Voico is here.
Hey.
The delightful Chris Carr is
Hello.
here. And most importantly, you guys are here. And here's how today's show is going to go. We're going to start off by going through those topics that I listed off. And then in the last part of the show, we're going to take your questions. And we take questions from two ways. Number one, from our beloved YouTube channel members. Thank you guys who are our channel members. Every day we ask them in a community post to fire in some questions and topics, and we get through as many of those as we can. But also, if you are watching live, you can use the super chat feature to send some in. And if you send in a topic that is appropriate for us to discuss here on the show, we'll read it off and discuss it near the end. Want to remind you guys also, this show is primarily a podcast. You can't always be in front of a YouTube video. Maybe you're driving, maybe you're at the gym, maybe you're at work. The good news, we have an audio-only version of the show, simply called creatively the John Campea Show podcast, that you can find on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcasting app of choice. Go and subscribe to it today, even if you don't listen regularly, but just so it'll be there when you need it. All right, guys. With that down, let's get things started with this, shall we? It's been about 1 year, roughly, since Elon Musk bought Twitter for a staggering $44 billion.
Worth it. I couldn't even say that without laughing.
And today, the valuation has been reported at $19 billion, which is a drop of 57% in their stuff. Now, I want to say this up front before we go too far. I am not an anti-Elon Musk guy. As a matter of fact, quite the opposite. I am very much, I'm kind of an Elon Musk fan. Now, I can be a fan of somebody and not be a fan of every single thing they do or say. Certainly that's the case with Elon Musk, but I love his cars. I own 2 of them. He's one of the first high-profile people to really ring the alarm on climate change. He's been one of the foremost personalities pushing the idea of changing to renewable energy. He's actually been doing a lot of stuff, propelling solar power and all that kind of. I like a lot of the stuff that Elon Musk does. Very, very much. His Twitter ownership has been a bit of a fiasco. And the drops in there, but it's not just the drop in valuation. They've also dropped a lot in terms of revenue and advertising, and the Hollywood studios are a part of that as well. This comes to us from Fortune, who write the following. A year ago, tech mogul Elon Musk griped that he was obviously overpaying for Twitter in the $44 billion deal that the social network sued him to complete. Now, what that means is, of course, he made a big deal about buying it, made an offer, then tried to get out of it, but he had already submitted the offer, so he was sued by Twitter to complete the purchase, so he completed the purchase. Now we know how inflated Musk believes his bid was. X, the new name of Twitter, By the way, that was one of the dumbest things he'd ever done. On Monday, informed employees eligible for stock grants that they would be receiving shares at a valuation of the company of $19 billion. Advertising revenue has plunged as much as 60% amid ongoing concerns about hate speech and misinformation. Hollywood studios, once a major spender, have reduced spending on the platform by up to 50%. All right. I really want to keep the conversation mostly on the latter part there, the Hollywood studios, stuff like that. You know, when social media started to evolve and come into being, it was like gold coins falling out of a slot machine in Vegas sound to Hollywood studios, because one of the biggest spends Hollywood does in their movies is not just making the movies, it's promoting their movies. And social media offered a new avenue of promotion for those things at a much smaller cost per view than their traditional means. Buying ads in newspaper space, buying television spots, getting your trailers played in movie theaters, billboards and things like that. The value studios were getting from promoting their stuff on social media, not just from their own efforts, but then getting people like you and me to virally carry on that message and spread the word as well, has been huge. And thus, we've seen Hollywood studios spend a lot of money on social media, not just the development of their own social media departments, but also in promotion, advertising, all through social media stuff. And Twitter was one of the big places that they did it. Now, obviously, it has been all over the news lately that a lot of brands have become very concerned finding out that ads for their products have been popping up on straight up hate accounts that promoted violence and hate speech and stuff like that. And a lot of the, you know, because Elon, who one of the first things that he did was gutted their departments that looked after moderation and things like that, a lot of stuff started to slip. According to the same report, he cut 80% of the staff, starting with moderation and people who did that. So a lot of brands obviously says overall, forget just the Hollywood studios, 60% of their revenue income has been evaporated and gone. They're trying to rebuild that. The new CEO is, of course, has talked recently in interviews that they're going to focus a lot of attention on making sure ads don't appear in inappropriate places. But it looks like the Hollywood studios, who once saw social media like Twitter, now known as X, as a potential gold mine for great investment of their marketing dollars, they're pulling back. So, Chris, are you surprised when you hear about, you know, well, on the larger scale, 60% of advertising revenue has been evaporated, but also that studios themselves are a prominent part of that? Hollywood studios are wanting to pour this stuff. How do you see studios reallocating those funds? I mean, it's the cheapest way to promote your film is on social media. But I mean, what do you make of this whole story?
It is the cheapest way to promote your film, but usually you need the stars promoting it. And unless you've got B-roll that's already been signed off, you know, I know the film Wish has a lovely B-roll kind of thing that's been circulating on Instagram of Ariana singing, and that kind of gets through the cracks here. But you usually have to have your celebrities going, hey there, we've got this great new movie coming out, for people to get interested in it. Also, I don't know about you guys, but my algorithm with Twitter got really weird after a while. I was getting ads that made no sense for me whatsoever, promoted tweets that made no sense for me. It just got all kinds of crazy all of a sudden for me. The leadership here when it comes to Twitter has been all over the place too. I mean, I know Elon's got a 79% stake in Twitter, but some of the choices he's made too has just been a little off the wall. The lack of, you know, monitoring things. Why would a studio want to give money to something that has been leaking movies in their entirety for hours on end? You know, it just doesn't seem like a sound investment. Now, comparatively, you know, they could go to Threads or something like that, but Threads still doesn't have the following that Twitter does. Say whatever you want. I know everyone says, I'm not doing Twitter anymore. I'm not doing X, whatever it's called. That still has, I think, double the users that Threads has. So there's still lifeblood in Twitter to be mined. It's just right now, it's kind of a catastrophe, for lack of a better word.
By the way, to your point, while revenue advertising spending on Twitter has dropped 60%, users have only dropped 15%.
Exactly.
Which is still a very significant
It's
drop, but
sizable,
it's
but
not equivalent to the
yeah,
same drop
it's
they've
nothing
had
to
their
start
advertising.
panicking over and restructuring everything about. And I know they've tried to make money other ways. The whole blue check thing, only about 1% of users actually signed up for. So they need to find a way to start making money on here again. But with the studios not being able to promote fully the way that works best for social media, it completely makes sense to me that they'd pull out their money.
All right, guys, with that down, let's move on to this, shall we? One of the big problems with the strike for the studios is not just that you don't have the actors on set making the movies that are already done can't get promoted. And we've already seen several films that have come out in the last 3 months really suffer as a result of the fact that the stars of the movie have not been able to go out there and promote the films. One of the upcoming films, Hunger Games: The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, is coming out. But guess what? According to a report, they've now signed a deal with the Actors Union that says your actors get to go out and promote the film. This comes to us from IndieWire, who write the following. The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, the new Hunger Games prequel film, has acquired an interim agreement from SAG-AFTRA, which will enable its stars to promote the film ahead of its release on November 17th. Songbirds and Snakes is a release from Lionsgate, which is not an AMPTP affiliated company, despite being a mini major studio, thus making its theatrical release eligible. Lionsgate is an independent company. Now, it's kind of weird to think that Lionsgate is not a part of the AMPTP. I mean, they are not one of the majors. They're not Paramount, Universal, Disney, but Lionsgate is a significant studio. They are a significant studio. And this could not have come at a better time for them, because just recently, the long-range box office projections, opening projections for the new Hunger Games film, was like around, topped out at about $40 million of an opening weekend. I mean, that's not terrible for some films, but for a film that's in a franchise like the Hunger Games, you know they wanted better than that. Now, those projections have been adjusted recently. We talked about this the other day. They've now upped to about $50 million. I think this is going to work very, very well for them to actually be able to get to get Peter Dinklage to be able to go out. And listen, this is not a small cast. This is a significant cast. To have this cast be able to now go out, get on the talk shows, which have started up again, do the press tours, do all the interviews, use their own social media to promote the films. You're now going to see how much higher than 50 million? I don't know. Maybe a little, maybe a lot. Who knows? We'll find out. But I do know this. Having the stars being able to go out and now promote the film and talk about the film and leverage their own celebrity to do so, you're going to see this movie open to more than $50 million now. Will it open it high enough? Don't know. We'll see. Anyway, Chris, as a member of the Actors Union, I mean, these interim agreements have been a pretty big deal during this strike. I mean, it's also caused some controversies, like why do some actors get to work and some actors don't,
Yes.
and things like that. But this is a situation where you have a non-AMPTP affiliated studio. They've got a project. I don't know what kind of terms they had to do to get the deal, but they got the deal. This can be nothing but good for this movie. How do you see this?
I think it's great for the film itself, as long as the actors feel comfortable going forward with this and promoting, which I'm sure some of them will. But Viola Davis, when she was working on that film G20, that got an interim agreement as well. And then she decided, hey, I don't feel good about this. I want to stand in solidarity with my union, and I think we need to pause production on this. So I'm interested to see if she's part of promoting this as well.
But this is a little bit of a different situation, right? Because one
it's already
was
been made.
getting in front of the camera to act. One is
Exactly.
just promoting what you've
Pre-production
already
and
shot.
everything. Yeah.
Right.
So I'm interested to see just how that kind of differentiates for her personally. For those of you who just need a reminder too, the interim agreement is just basically adhering to those kind of demands of SAG in the interim before we have this actually all concrete and locked down moving forward for a contract between SAG and the AMPTP. What I'm always interested in when it comes to these though is, okay, great, we promoted the movie, we can talk about it, we can do all of this. What happens when it goes streaming? And that is still the part, even as a union member, that I do get a little concerned about of, well, then what happens when that gets released on Amazon, on Netflix, when that starts going to these different streaming sites? Did we come to terms on that? Did we also come to terms with this franchise on the use of AI? Are they going to have their faces replicated for things? Did they sign off on all of that? And that's the part that just does give me a little bit of pause For the movie itself, though, I think it's really great. We'll be able to promote it. I know at CinemaCon, movie theater owners were so excited about this movie. You could just feel how jazzed they were to have this franchise back in their theaters, especially post-COVID. And if this movie gets, its roses and people turn up to the theaters, that's just good for everybody involved ultimately. So I'm happy to see it, but I'm interested to see what it means in the long run.
I know we were also way more impressed with what we saw from it than we were anticipating. Because
Absolutely.
I didn't have much, I'll be straight up honest with you. I didn't have much interest in this movie. And then they played that presentation for us at CinemaCon. And all of a sudden I was like, this is not what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
Like this feels like to give a little nod to Martin Scorsese, this feels like cinema.
It does feel like cinema.
Yeah. So the previews have looked really good. The trailers have looked good. But then again, I've seen a lot of movies that I've hated that had really good trailers. So we'll see how this all goes. All right. Guys, with that down, let's move on to this, shall we? Under the category of things that get Ray Aura stiff. There's a new Apple TV Plus series coming out called Monarch Legacy of Monsters, right? It's a Godzilla series, right? And a lot of people, including our own Ray Aura, have been very excited about this. They dropped the first couple of trailers, look great. Well, now we're actually getting our first reviews. Apple TV Plus released what they are calling the first batch of reviews, or a first batch of episodes to a number of reviewers. And as you can see here, the response right now is pretty good. Out of 17 reviews from some of the bigger outlets, it's got an 88%.
Nice.
Now, here's the thing, though. While the reviews are positive, I think even some of the positive ones are going to give some people pause for a very specific reason. And we'll get into that as we actually read through them. So if we take a look at some of these things, Discussing Film likes it. They said, this is more ground level approach to the world of monsters and its characters is a nice change of pace from the movie's usual focus on enormous spectacle. Well, wait a minute. There's a lot of people looking forward to this show for enormous spectacle. Your trailers have a lot of enormous spectacle. I mean, the last spot I just watched, it's basically Godzilla's on screen for almost the entire little spot I just watched. But they liked it, clearly. Corey Coleman wrote, also liked it. If you want to see WrestleMania with giant creatures, you're not really going to get it here. Monarch Legacy of Monsters is slowly and carefully starting to flesh out this universe. So now remember, Corey has not seen the entire series. Corey is talking about the first batch of episodes, and they're saying, hey, I know the trailers kind of look like we're going to get some big monster slugfests, but that's not here. It's good. The show's good, but you're not going to get the big monster slugfests. Clint Worthington says, let's hope the remaining episodes of the season cut to the chase, but quick. As is, it feels like a leg of the Monsterverse that chooses to place its focus too heavily on the human half of the equation. So this is all very consistent with what we heard the others say, right? Like, only this individual doesn't like the show as a result of it. Alex from Inverse writes, all of the multimedia franchises installments, Monarch is easily the most ambitious and complex to date. That's great. John Nugent from our friends over at Empire Magazine writes, not quite the Monsterverse's high point, but far from its low point either, with some satisfying long-form world building and a hugely enjoyable dual performance from Kurt and Wyatt Russell, who of course playing the same character in different ages, which you can see. The Verge, Charles from The Verge wrote, Monarch Legacy of Monsters focus on individual people spurred to action by the emergence of Godzilla and his fellow titans is exactly what makes the show a surprise delight. One that feels like it has potential to be both a proper hit for Apple. So basically it's this. With the 88%, we see the critics are liking it. They think this is a good show, but even the ones that are liking it are giving us a little bit of caution. Don't expect to go into this and in the first episode seeing Godzilla wreaking havoc. Because apparently in the first bunch of episodes, we're not going to get that. And then the negative ones are kind of highlighting that, saying, can we get to it? Can we get... And this is giving me a little bit of flashback to that first Godzilla movie in the new series that came out. And it's Godzilla with very little Godzilla. And I'm just wondering how the average film goer is going to respond to that. Because if there are viewers who watch it and get kind of turned off by the lack of monsters, you can't really blame them because the marketing has kind of highlighted big giant monsters, fighting each other, wrecking cities, screaming at little girls, which is what Godzilla's doing here. I mean,
That's me when I see children.
on Halloween, nonetheless.
Any day.
Knock, knock, trick or treat, get out of here.
Get out of here. You want a full-size candy bar? Get out.
I'm calling the police. So, I mean, I don't know. Now, maybe this is all just world building and setting up the last bunch of episodes, like the second half of the season, which is all going to be, free for all. But I don't know. We'll see. Chris?
Sorry. Do we know how many episodes that they've reviewed?
Say again?
Do we know how many episodes they reviewed?
The only thing I read was the first batch. So maybe it is revealed somewhere how many, but
three.
whether that means 2, 3, or 4, I'm not really sure. Maybe the number's out there somewhere. Anyway, Chris, you hear some of these reviews. You've seen the marketing campaign. What do you think about what we're hearing?
I'm excited about this, especially the Russell dynamic here.
Yes,
because
that part I'm really
that's
stoked
so
for.
interesting because usually when it comes to the Godzilla movies, any kaiju movie, I kind of don't give a shit about the people. It's just I want to see monsters fighting. That's what I want to see. I don't want to hear about your backstory. I don't want to see that. I want to see these guys duking it out. But they really, really got me invested with them playing the same character. Just because that's such an interesting dynamic too, to have your son playing who you're playing as a character, but also having his own kind of opinions and feelings about his dad and how that's going to manifest. I think that's really great. And he's such a good actor. I love him as Kirkland Captain America. We all love to hate him.
Captain America.
He's so good in it. He's so good in that. So that's why you all get angry at him, because he's such a good actor. And he is one of those actors too who, sure, Nepo baby, but he keeps proving himself time after time as a fantastic actor. So I'm really excited to see him doing this. I love Apple TV so much. They just keep putting out banger after banger for the most part. And they're also doing 10 episodes of this, Ray. So you get 10, not that 6 bullshit. They're going to actually tell a story. I think I'm really excited about this.
She brings up the Apple, believe in Apple TV Plus. And I do. I'm just in that,
They've earned
that
it.
point where I do believe. You guys always rag on me for Invasion, but this season of Invasion has been really good for those who've kept up with it.
So that's what I was thinking.
I want to specify something here. We have never once brought up Invasion to rag you.
You bring it up.
It is you who constantly bring up Invasion.
And then we just knock it down.
I'm just saying. See,
Even talking about Godzilla, you got to bring up Invasion again.
But actually, I was thinking about Invasion because of what he said, because this could be kind of like the slow roll, and like Invasion Season 2, then it starts to pick up.
Exactly.
By the way, pursuant to the thing you were asking, a bunch of our users in our live chat set out that they released the first 5 episodes.
And
so
each
the
of them
first
are an
half of the
hour.
season.
Each of them are an hour, I assume. Because
I have no idea.
So, I said before when this show first came up, one of my favorite parts about natural disaster movies, monster movies, is the build-up before the reveal.
Right.
Everything's shaking, the people freaking out, but you don't see anything. Maybe like in the fog, you see a leg. Things like that. The build-up.
The
5
foreplay.
episodes in.
The foreplay, if you will.
5 episodes in. I still believe in Apple. I'm still gonna watch it. I don't care what these guys say.
It's an 88%,
Yeah.
right? I mean, so they're liking it. I'm worried that there's going to be a lot of viewers who are like, where are the monsters? Again, we'll find out. We'll wait and see. All right, guys. With that down, we still got to talk about this mystery screening that AMC Theaters is doing on Monday. Also, Deadpool has set a date, apparently, for resuming production on its movie. But before we get to those, we're going to take a quick second and thank a couple of sponsors of today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast, our friends at Quip and the most comfortable shoes I've ever worn, Vessi. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of this video, Quip. Guys, you know that good health starts with good habits, and Quip makes it easy by delivering all the oral care essentials that you need to care for your mouth. For example, their incredible electric toothbrush. Guys, I've been using electric toothbrushes for years, and this is easily the best one I've ever owned. Timed sonic vibrations with 30-second pulses to guide a dentist-recommended 2-minute clean. A lightweight and sleek design for adults and kids with no wires or bulky charger to weigh you down. Reusable handles in a range of sleek metal hues, as well as bright plastic colors, sure to make a pop on your bathroom counter. Skip the battery batteries and snap into healthy habits with the new rechargeable electric toothbrush. All the features of the original Quip, plus one magnetic charge powers up to 3 months of brushing. In addition to brush heads, Quip also delivers fresh floss, toothpaste, mouthwash, and gum refills every 3 months from just $7. So if you go to getquip.com/Campea right now, you'll get 20% off any electric toothbrush, mint and gum dispenser, or water flosser. That's your 20% off any electric toothbrush, mint and gum dispenser, water flosser at getquip.com/Campea. That's GETQUIP.com/Campea. Quip, the good habits company. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of this video, Vessi. Now, you guys know I'm not exactly the most fashion conscious guy in the world, but I love a great pair of shoes that are comfortable and I can wear almost anywhere. And growing up in Canadian winters when my feet got wet a lot, waterproof would be nice too. Enter Vessi. They make the claim that they're not just fashionable and super comfortable, they're also waterproof. Now, you guys remember, when I got my first pair of Vessis, I put them to the ultimate waterproof test. I actually stuck my foot in my pool, my feet stayed dry, and the shoes stayed dry. Incredible. And they're the most comfortable pair of shoes I ever owned. Well, that made me want another pair. So I got another pair of Vessis that look great and just equal that world-class comfort that I got from that first pair of shoes. They are absolutely my favorite shoes that I've ever owned. Imagine your favorite sneaker style supercharged with waterproof technology and unmatched comfort. No matter how you like to stay active, Vessi has the shoes for you. Trail-ready high tops, effortless slip-ons, and classic court shoes, all with a waterproof twist. They are just as comfortable and stylish as your favorite sneakers, but even more versatile. So guys, if you're anything like me and you want the most comfortable pair of shoes that look great, that you can take out hiking, wear to work, go to the gym, or walk through the water and snow, go to vessi.com/Campea and get yourself a pair today. Go to vessi.com/Campea and get 15% off your order using the code Campea. And thank you to our friends at Quip and Vessi for sponsoring this episode of the John Campea Show podcast. All right, guys, with that down, let's get into this, shall we? This coming Monday, AMC is going to have its first mystery screening that they are calling Screen Unseen. Not nearly as good as mystery screening, but mystery screening's taken, I think, by Regal. So Screen Unseen, their own version of the mystery screening. How does it work? Well, it's basically this. You buy a ticket for $5 and you go to the movie theater and you don't know what the movie is going to be until it starts. Now, I have been burned by this exercise in going to Regal's mystery screening a couple of times where I got classics like The Greatest Beer Run Ever or whatever. Yeah, that movie's not so good. And I can't even remember what the other one was. Only to find
Did you
out
end up in Lyle Crocodile, or was that Taylor?
I think that was Taylor.
Okay.
Taylor.
But then there was one that I like, no, I'm not going to that again. And I found it was actually a pretty good movie that they did for. So anyway, AMC is jumping on this. Now, they've done this in the UK for a while, these mystery screenings. And I'll tell you what, in principle, I really like the idea of mystery screenings. I think it's kind of a cool idea. Go in, $5, get some popcorn, watch a movie, and away you go. Now, this is interesting because, and we'll explain why in a second, but I think there's a very valid chance that this mystery screening could be the Marvels. Why do I think it could be the Marvels? Well, there's a couple things here. First of all, it's close to when the Marvels is coming out, right? The Marvels official release day is the 10th. This is Monday the 6th, so it's really, really close. On top of all that, as we go into the site here a bit, we notice a couple things. One, it's listing an hour and 49 minutes.
Oh, wow.
And it's PG-13.
Okay.
Now, if we go over now to the release calendar,
It's a
what
Wonderful
things,
Life.
I need to point something out. There is no PG-13 movie coming out that is an hour and 49 minutes. So I'm broadening it a bit to, okay, a PG-13 movie, that's a non-discussion. They have to give you the actual rating so you can know if you can bring your kids or not. So we know it's going to be a PG-13 movie. And I started to look for movies that are in the neighborhood of an hour and 49 minutes. Okay. I don't think it's going to be A Wonderful Knife. That's a limited release. Or Dream Scenario or Orlando, My Political Biography. But coming out on November 10th, there it is, The Marvels, which is a PG-13 and has a listed runtime of 1 hour and 45. It's right before its actual release. It's PG-13. AMC's got a good relationship with Disney and Marvel, and it's very, very close to what the runtime they're after. But it's not the only one, okay? We move on to, where are we going in here? Now, once we jump up to November 17th, we got Next Goal Wins,
I can see that
That's
possibly.
it. That's it.
which I believe is a PG-13. It's 1 hour and 43, so it's in the neighborhood. Now, it's a little early. November 6th is a little early for November 17th, but I think that is right up there with the possibilities of what this movie could be. Now, Hunger Games, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, you take it right. It's listed 2 hours and 37 minutes.
You just watch like Act 1
Yeah, yeah.
And come back later for the rest, kids.
Yeah.
It's not going to be that. Now, Thanksgiving is right there on the 17th as well, right?
No way
It's
that's
a wide
PG-13,
release.
is it?
Hour and 47 minutes, very close to that hour and 49. But I don't know this for sure. Maybe you can look this up, Chris. I don't believe there's any chance Thanksgiving is rated PG-13.
I'm so doubtful. An hour.
I mean, it's Eli Roth,
46.
right?
It is
Yeah.
Eli Roth.
So-
yeah, it's rated R.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's R.
So they're not going to pull a, we told you it was PG-13, but surprise, it's an R-rated film, and all of a sudden piss off all your patrons who brought
And it's like the goriest film.
kids or something, right?
Ugh.
Then we got Trolls
Oh, God,
band
please say
together.
It's not true.
It's a little short. It's 1 hour and 32 minutes. That's a little outside that hour and 49 thing. But here's the reason why I don't think it's Trolls. Otherwise, I think this would be a prime candidate. It's not rated PG-13. It's rated PG.
So it's
So-
not PG-13 or below. It's guaranteed
It says it's
PG-13.
PG-13.
Okay, yeah.
But what if it's Trolls, the Britney Spears cut, The Woman and Me, and they clip out to her memoir? Anytime Justin appears as Branch, they're like, but also remember what he did to Britney.
Yeah, remember, don't forget.
Let's have Michelle Williams read you getting jiggy with it, saying for shiz and things.
now,
That audiobook is ridiculous, you guys.
we
It's
move
wild.
a little bit further out. Like we go to November 22nd. Holdovers, great. But again, it's a little long, listed at 2 hours and 13
That'd be a
minutes.
cool one, though. I'd be down for that.
No,
I'm
listen, if
excited
I
about
was in the
that.
secret screening and the holdovers came up, I'd be happy.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that. Also, we got Disney's Wish, hour and 32 minutes. So a little bit short, but could be there. Napoleon is 2.5 hours, so that's not going to be it. So really, I think, what's that?
Please tell me, it's Godzilla -1, baby.
No, it ain't
That's
going to
not
be Godzilla.
PG-13. It is
Is it?
PG-13.
Oh, that's
and it's
it
an
then.
hour 45 minutes.
Oh, well, there you go. It's
And it had
But
already.
isn't it?
It doesn't
it's
come
not
out till
supposed to come
December.
out till December, though,
Yeah,
right?
that's
Yeah.
That's a real early screening.
Yeah.
then.
I'm going for the fact that it could be.
So I think the two most likely scenarios here are that it's either Next Goal Wins or it's the Marvels. To me, and I'm not going to be surprised if either of those, I think it's going to be one of those two. I'll be surprised if it's any movie other than those two. Out of those two, I still feel more like it's going to be the Marvels. And I'll tell you why. There's two reasons, one minor, one major. The minor one is, again, AMC, I know this, has done a lot of stuff with Disney before. And this seems like, and if you're AMC and you're launching this new program, you're launching your Screen Unseen, what do you want to be the reputation of this event? Man, I went to go see it, and we got Titanic the musical. No, do you want that to be the reputation of Screen Unseen? Yes. No, you want to come out with something big so that people are going to be, got to be there at the next AMC Screen Unseen, right? But that's a minor thing. The major reason why I think it's going to be the Marvels is because of this. Disney needs it desperately. Marvel needs it desperately.
Good buzz.
They can't have their cast going out and promoting the film. I mean, it's projected to make about 80 million, which would be one of the biggest opening weekends of the year, but not big for a Marvel movie. Disney needs people to see this and for the people to start talking about it. So because of all that, I'm going to go out on a limb, and because AMC is going to want to launch this thing big, Disney desperately needs the promotion of this movie. It's in the same week as the Screen Unseen. It's PG-13. It's only like 4 minutes off from what they're saying the runtime of this thing is. That's why I'm going to lean this. Again, Next Goal Wins, totally valid candidate.
Yeah.
It checks a lot of those boxes too, and it very well could be Next Goal Wins. But I'm going to lean towards that. And again, I will be shocked if it's either. Because if they do come out with, let me see here, Death on the Border with Shannon Elizabeth and Eric Roberts.
Come on, you're missing someone on
Danny
that
Trejo.
poster. Danny Trejo.
Let's go.
I do love Danny Trejo. But I mean,
Machete.
it's going to be like, really? That's what we came out for? That's what all the excitement was about?
But that's
I
gotta
think
be
it's going to
hard.
be one of those two major. Anyway, Chris, you see this. First of all, what do you think about AMC getting into the mystery screening business? And out of all the films we've looked at, what do you think is going to be the movie that actually ends up playing on Monday?
I love that they're doing this. It gets more butts in seats. When you have the passes, though, I will say it isn't as enticing. But if you're not an A-list member or, a Regal Unlimited member like me, then yeah, $5 movie. Come on, let's go do that. That
Kinda
sounds super
though.
fun.
Yeah, it's a mystery box thing.
Yeah.
that,
It's
yeah.
the same thing too if you like doing those unboxings where you don't know what
Yeah.
toy you're getting or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it appeals to people. I'm totally on board with you with this being the Marvels because Next Goal Wins has Taika Waititi, who gets to promote that movie as the director. And Taika is a huge personality, and those little teasers that he's been putting out have been delightful. They've been super, super fun. They're great. This makes sense for them to, one, promote doing mystery movies or a Screen Unseen now, opening with a bang, and also then you get to do some really great guerrilla marketing. You have people outside of the theater or in the theater taping reactions to things. See how
yeah.
audiences are reacting to the Marvels. These folks had this to say at their secret screening.
Yeah.
And you do all of that, and you have the audiences promote it then instead of your actors. It's wicked smart. I also have a source that I can't say much about because I will absolutely blow their cover.
Oh.
And I am very, very certain that this is the thing because of a crisis that came up at some point of scheduling.
Oh.
So that's all I can say.
Wow.
Okay, that's
Ugh.
a
Hearing-
mystery.
Hearing this makes me go, oh, that makes more sense now.
Oh yeah.
I'm so sorry. I'll tell you guys off camera. I know that's really vague and annoying, but I've got like a 90%. I would bet on this.
But
If I
here-
were a betting woman, I would bet on this.
Here's a real quick, like mystery boxes. Like we've all run into, or especially if you collect Funko Pops, there's mystery boxes. A lot of those can be the company trying to offload stuff that's not selling or not popular. They could be using this event for that too. That's why I kind of think maybe it might be Next Goal Wins, because maybe the ticket sales, they don't see the ticket sales being that high. So maybe it'll be a way for people to like it a little bit and then maybe talk about it.
I'll tell you why that's not, because not a lot of tickets get sold to these things, right? I mean, these mystery screens are not packing the houses out.
No.
And it's only on like very, very like, for instance, in AMC, it's one screen. They're going to do it on one night. And so I mean, if your strategy is to try to get more ticket sales, this isn't the way to do it.
And the only other thing I could think about is the Marvel review embargo thing,
Right.
where it lifts. Even if people do see it on Monday, the Marvels, they can't say anything.
Yes,
about
they
it.
can, because you're a paid audience member. You
Yeah,
are
you
under
have to
no
pay.
embargo.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you pay to see a movie,
well, then it's probably the Marvels.
you are under no embargo whatsoever.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, but that is interesting though, because right now the review embargo, from what we understand, for the Marvels is is Wednesday, the day before it opens on the Thursday. You might say, but John, I thought it opened on Friday. All movies that open on Fridays really open on Thursdays.
Yeah.
So that could be interesting that they do that, but it wouldn't be the first time that advanced fan screenings were held before review embargoes were lifted, right? But I know I pissed off a studio once that I was scheduled to go to a review screening, and I was in another town, and there was a special fan event there where if you bought a ticket, you could go, and I happened to be there, so I bought the ticket and went. And I was like, this is great. And I did my review for it. And the studio was like, why are you writing about this? Because I bought a ticket and I went to go see it. And they're like, oh. Yeah. So yeah,
It's a
the fans who
loophole.
go see it. So I don't know. But I'll tell you this. Ann and I already got our tickets for Monday.
Ooh.
Fun.
So
Greatest
we're
Beer
going to
Ever,
the
Part
screening.
2.
So Yeah, it's this Monday, right?
But
Yeah,
if
the
we
6th.
go and it's Deadland with Chris McCulkey and Julio Cesar Cedillo, I'm going to be very upset. I'm going to be very upset.
What
that
if it's a great thriller western?
Yeah, what if you like it?
I won't be there long enough to find out.
You have to do an out of theater review nonetheless, no matter what it is.
Well, I'll tell you what, if I'm sitting there and it's not the Marvels and it's not Next Goal Wins, I'm literally gathering up my popcorn and I'm just leaving.
I'm taking my popcorn and going home. You should announce that to everybody.
It's like they got my $5. I'm here to either see Next Goal Wins or the Marvels.
I'm tempted to like not get my popcorn or drinks or whatever and wait.
Until after the movie
And
starts.
it starts like, okay, I'm going to go
Yeah,
to
I'm
the
gonna go
concession. I'll be
snack.
right back.
Nah, at least, because then even if I wasted my evening, at least I'll have some delicious buttery popcorn to eat in the car on the way
Oh,
home.
there you go.
That'll cushion the blow a little bit, I think. By the way, while we were talking, I put up a poll to our live viewers and asking our live viewers the simple question: is the AMC screening going to be Marvels or Next Goal Wins? You know what? I should have put a third option of other, but I didn't. And right now we have about there are about over 300 people voted, and Marvels is at 66%. 66% of people think it's going to be Marvels. Next Goal Wins is at 34%. So thank you to everybody who participated in that poll, and we will find out on Monday what it's going to be.
If it's Godzilla, I'm going to be pissed.
If it's,
It's not Godzilla.
I don't think it's going to be Godzilla. I think you're okay. But you know what? I take it back. If it's not Next Goal Wins or the Marvels, but it is Godzilla -1, I will stay for that one.
Yeah.
What if it's 2 episodes of Monarch?
No, it's not. They wouldn't do that.
Yeah, no, because it's a movie.
It
They
has
specifically said it's a
has
movie.
a rating.
So.
Yeah, it has a rating.
All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? You know, not to take anything away from individuals going through hard stuff, the worst thing that has happened as a result of this actor strike is they stopped production on Deadpool 3, damn it. That's the worst.
Screw all these people who don't have health insurance or their money or their livelihood. Deadpool 3.
Not my problem.
There you go. That's what I expected.
Deadpool.
That's the answer.
It's all about me. Deadpool.
Fair.
Why my Deadpool?
Only once.
And you know, which is really unfortunate too, because man, they were rolling on that. We were getting all sorts of set pictures coming out. The everything was moving. It looked so exciting. People seeing the costumes, all that kind of stuff. And of course, obviously with the strikes, it shut it down. And when can they get back to it? Just recently, of course, they announced that that release date in March, not going to happen. And they pulled Deadpool off the release schedule, and they haven't given us a new date yet, which I can understand. They want to know when they can do it. But according to Deadline, they actually have a target for when they're going to start up production again. This comes to us from the folks at CBR who wrote the following. According to Deadline, the anticipated Deadpool 3-quel now looks set to resume shooting in January. The upcoming Marvel Cinematic Universe blockbuster is around 50% complete, all but confirming the movie will not make its original premiere date in May of 2024, despite Marvel Studios having yet to make an official announcement on any shifts. Based on its current timeline, Deadpool 3 could be completed as early as March 2024 before it enters post-production. All right, one thing I'm going to say about this, they're not going to wait until shooting's done to start post-production. One of the things I can 100% guarantee you as fact is that while the strikes have been going on and they haven't been shooting Deadpool 3, they've been working on the post-production of the stuff they have shot. 100% post-production work's been happening. Now, of course, they're going to need to get the rest of the movie shot in order to finish the post-production. But the estimates I've read is they probably have about 6 to 7 more weeks of shooting on Deadpool 3, and then they'll be off to the races. I agree with the article. There's no way they're going to make that March release date. No way. I think if we're lucky, we're maybe looking at the end of summer, probably into the fall. Maybe October, maybe November. We may be about a year away from the movie coming out, which sucks because we were so close.
I was thinking it'd be perfect then for like Thanksgiving of next year.
It would be a good date for it. I mean, look, this movie's going to make money wherever it opens. I think we all agree about that. How much? Who knows? We'll have to wait and see. But look, I'm just excited to hear that at least according to Deadline, they're looking to start production up again in January. Anyway, Chris, you heard about this. I mean, this is all, of course, assuming that we get an end to the strike by January.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I assume I will be filming in January as well.
I assumed I'd be filming today,
Yeah.
but here we are.
You know,
So what do you think about this report?
I think it is a very lovely teaspoon of hope. That's all I got for you, folks. Because it's a bunch of sweet little wishes. Yeah. If everything gets sorted, we're going to resume filming. Rad. If everything gets sorted,
Yeah.
I'm so excited for you because they cannot move forward with this unless they get an interim agreement, which, okay.
Yeah, that won't happen.
If that happens for this, that means that the strike would be done.
Right.
So they need to have the strike be done. So I love the idea of this resuming filming. I love them doing this because I'm so excited about this movie. I love me some Hugh Jackman. I'm so pumped about Wolverine being back in here and all the weirdness that this movie could be. But this, it's such a warm fart on a cold toilet seat.
Well, we're just so burnt on this strike right now that
Yeah.
we're like,
Now,
I want to
here's-
get our hopes up.
I can already hear people asking, well, wait a minute, time out. We've heard that they might be getting close to a deal. If they make a deal, like in the next couple of days, why couldn't they go back into production even sooner? As we've been talking about, you got to remember, Deadpool's now not the only thing that's been thrown off. There are literally hundreds of projects with thousands of crew members, creative staff, actors, directors, writers, set construction people, all that kind of stuff, who have had other things scheduled for the last 3 months that are now all trying to get things up and running again. And just because the strike ends does not mean everybody's now available to come back to the table.
Yep.
What it sounds like Marvel may have been doing is, other than with the actors, because they can't talk to the actors right now, is probably going around to all the crew, everybody, and saying, which is, remember, we're talking about an effort of thousands of people to make these movies, and saying, look, when can we get everything up and running again? And they probably targeted January. So like, even if we find out by the end of the day that the strike is over, even if that were to happen, they are not going to be ready to just jump back into production. It's too big of a machine.
It's so many moving parts. And please don't confuse my flippancy here for complete disregard for the strike. I am really proud of our negotiating team. I am really proud of my union for fighting for this. But we can't say that we're moving forward until we actually can, you know, and those other parts, hopefully we'll be able to. I really hope that production folks get to go back to work and are able to be doing post-production, doing other things, making their livelihood, making their insurance quotas and everything. Because again, as we keep talking about here, this affects the entire market. If you were in one of the major filmmaking markets like LA, like Chicago, like New York, it's the entire economy of your town. And so we definitely want people going back to work and everything. I don't feel like we all can keep holding our breath, right? And so you got to figure out other things. You got to figure out how you can stay on that picket line and still support your families. So it's a lot of moving parts that even once everything comes together and is finally negotiated, which I hope is so soon, and I hope it's this week, you still have to get everyone's schedule back on track.
Yeah. And again, it's not just Deadpool. I mean, if I had my way, that is the only movie in production in Hollywood. But the reality is there's hundreds of TV shows, hundreds of movies, and only limited numbers of people who can work on them. And it's going to be a mad dash to get location space, crews ready to go. It's going to be kind of crazy. So January sounds reasonable. All right, guys. With that now down, we're going to spend the rest of our time going over and taking your thoughts, theories, questions, and opinions. But before we get to those, we're going to take another moment here and thank a couple of more sponsors of today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast, our friends at Marine Lair and my mobile service provider, and they should be yours, Mint Mobile. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, Marine Lair. It's official, guys. I have found the softest t-shirt of all time, so soft, it's ridiculous. All thanks to the San Francisco-based Marine Lair. Marine Lair is the go-to brand for great fitting and stylish closet staples. Their clothes are that perfect mix of laid-back style and also looks and feels premium. It's time to invest in a wardrobe that will actually last. For a limited time, the John Campea Show viewers and listeners get an exclusive 15% off with the code Campea15 at marinelair.com. Now, guys, you know I am not the most fashionable guy in the world, but I appreciate a good looking shirt, but more importantly, I appreciate a comfortable shirt. And the shirts that I've got from Marine Lair fit both of those beautifully. And they've even got sizes like Marge, which is in between medium and large, so everyone can get their perfect fit. The best part, if you buy any 3 tees from Marine Lair, you automatically get 20% off. And Marine Lair goes way beyond just t-shirts too. They've got super laid back overshirts, pants, jackets, and all the cozy layers you want for the cooler seasons. I think we can all admit that the perfect tee can be hard to find. Look no further than Marine Lair. For a limited time, get 15% off with the code CAMPEA15 at marinelair.com. That's Campea15 for 15% off your entire order at marinelair.com. Saving your closet one shirt at a time. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, Mint Mobile. Signing your life away to a big wireless provider is kind of like being trapped on a roller coaster from hell. Sure, it looks like fun at first. They probably even threw in a free phone, but now you can't get off. Month after month of insane bills and unexpected thrills, like overages and surprise fees. If that sounds like your current big wireless plan, it's time to get off the ride with Mint Mobile. For a limited time, wireless plans from Mint Mobile are just $15 a month. That's unlimited talk, text, and data for just $15 a month. You guys know before I came to Mint Mobile, I was paying triple what I am paying now on the standard big wireless plan, and I will never go back. All plans come with unlimited talk, text, and high-speed data delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and bring your phone number along with all your existing contacts. To get your new unlimited wireless plan for just $15 a month and get the plan shipped right to your door for free, go to mintmobile.com/Campea. That's mintmobile.com/Campea. Cut your wireless bill to just $15 a month at mintmobile.com/Campea. And thank you to our friends at Marine Lair and Mint Mobile for sponsoring this episode. All right, guys, let's get on over to your questions now. Just so you know, it's too late to send in anymore. We've turned off the super chats at this point because we only have so much time. But let's get into the ones that did come through here. Chris, what do we got up first?
From
James.
from James. Thank you. James Wheeler with a $20 super chat.
Thank
Woo,
you, James, for supporting us on that level, man.
Hello, everyone. I just wanted to express my condolences over the death of Adam Johnson, the young hockey player in England. What a tragedy.
Yeah, I read about this. He played a little bit in the NHL. He got to fulfill his dream and play in the NHL for a little bit, and then he went down to the minor system, ended up playing in Europe. I haven't read exactly what happened, but I heard it was from a collision on the ice. You know, hockey, a lot of my American friends don't know this because hockey isn't anywhere near as big here as it is, you know, where I'm from, obviously. Hockey is an extremely fast and violent sport. And the fact that you don't hear of these types of major injuries is remarkable to me. I still remember when I was a kid, the first time that I saw a hockey injury that could be life-threatening. I think the goalie was Clint Malarchuk. I think it was Clint Malarchuk. You guys in the live chat, you can correct me if I'm wrong. But it was, I believe it was a Buffalo Sabres goaltender. And the defenseman standing in front of him got tripped up and their feet went flying in the air and literally on live TV slit the goalie's throat.
Oh my God.
Holy shit.
And yeah, just started bleeding everywhere. And my God, the world-class medical staff saved that dude's life. And that's why today, all goalie masks now have this piece that kind of
Flaps
hangs
down.
down,
Yeah,
or
I've seen
has
that.
an extension of the goalie mask, protecting their throat. But it's very, very rare that you hear about, like, you see people getting carted off on stretchers in football a lot more often than hockey. But like, you realize your padding's a lot smaller. You're not playing on turf. You're playing on ice. You're not running at each other. You are flying at each other on skates, and you're carrying sticks. It's surprising it doesn't happen. And yeah, I was really heartbroken to hear about, as somebody who played a lot of hockey
It
growing
sounds
up
like that's
and
what's
playing a lot of
happened to
leagues.
him.
It was horrible to hear that. And yeah, really sorry to hear about that.
Yeah, Adam Johnson's neck was cut by a blade in a game. And police are still investigating it. He was 29.
Oh, he got hit in the
Yeah.
neck. Yeah, the neck is, I mean, when I was a kid, NHL players didn't even have to wear, when I was a real little kid, NHL players didn't have to wear, it wasn't the rule that you had to wear a helmet. Then when I was a little kid, they became a rule you had to wear a helmet, but you didn't even have to have your face covered. And then when I was like a young teenager, then they instituted the rule that you had to have at least have a visor, but the necks are still like completely open and with skates and sticks. I mean, again, in my 40 years of watching and playing hockey, only once before today have I seen a neck injury, and that was the goalie. And to hear about this is horrible. Anyway. All right, what's next?
From AL, Happy Halloween, Campiak. I dressed up as Heisenberg for today.
Nice.
What are your
Yeah.
thoughts on Breaking Bad?
I'm the one who knocks. I like Breaking Bad very much. I am not in the camp with a lot of my friends that think it's like a top 5 greatest television show of all time, but I love the show. I think it's great. It's not my top 5, but I love it. It's a fabulous, fabulous show.
That was the first movie I can officially say I binged. I meant
TV
series that I officially binged. Season 1 through season 5. Didn't go to sleep. Kept watching it the next day.
You can tell your eyes are all
And
right.
then stopped it. And then just stopped it at 5 because, Hank found out who was the thing. And
I still
said,
remember that episode when Hank found out
I
as he's
the
piecing
diary.
it together,
Yeah.
and he's running it all through his. Oh, that was such a great
Killed
scene.
me that he left that on anyway.
All right, what's next?
From AL again. I watched Five Nights at Freddy's last week, and I enjoyed it, despite not being a Five Nights at Freddy's fan. Meanwhile, I was a Mario fan, but I thought the 2023 movie kind of sucked. What do you attribute this to?
All film is subjective. Movies
Personal
hit us all in
taste.
different ways. I mean, you could talk to 10 people today. Probably 2 of them are going to say they didn't like The Godfather. I mean, that's the nature of art, is that you're going to like some movies more than others. People still are agog and aghast when I mention I don't actually like the original Blade Runner. But, most people are going to say they absolutely love it. Okay, but that's just not the way it hit me. And so that's the way, listen, I didn't think the Super Mario Brothers movie was great either. But I enjoyed it more. I thought it was more fun. I was a little bit more entertained by it than I was by Five Nights at Freddy's. But I mean, that's the thing. Art is subjective. You know what? People will write to me sometimes, John, I watched this movie that everybody loves, and I didn't like it. Like, did I just not watch it right? Or did I? No, you did nothing wrong. You watched the movie, and it hit you in a certain way. And sometimes that is going to be the same way that it hits a majority of the other people. And many times it's going to hit you in a way that puts you in the minority of how it hit other people. Nothing wrong with that. It's just the way it is. It's the movies. All right, what's next?
Oh, that one.
From Bit Ferret, sending in a $20 super chat.
Thank you, Bit Ferret.
Been a watcher for many years. Wanted to thank you for all the entertainment. Bring on the filthy.
Aw, thank you so much, man. That's incredibly generous of you, and I appreciate that. Thanks for being a part of our community, man. All right, what's next?
Gray Fox is always civil, sending in some support. Thank you
Oh,
so
thank
much.
you.
From Ivan, do you think Toby or Andrew will return at some point? No Way Home made almost $2 billion. I refuse to believe Sony looked at those numbers and said, nah, that's it.
No, I don't. Because Sony, that Spider-Man movie made $2 billion because of a very perfect storm of things that all came together and worked right at one point. You can't just look at it and say, oh, that worked. So let's just take one of the many elements that made that and make it its thing. And that's going to be a huge thing too. Lest we forget, and the last Andrew Garfield Spider-Man movie did not do great. Right? I mean, so it's not like you can't just think, well, let's just put him back in a movie now, and now it's going to be huge. And by the way, Andrew Garfield is my personal favorite Spider-Man. Just so
He's
you
so
know.
good.
He is so good. I mean, there's certain things about being Peter and Spider-Man that I think Tobey Maguire's a little bit better at. There's certain aspects that I think Tom Holland's a little bit better at that. But Andrew Garfield, to me, is the best overall package. To me. But that's just me. But that being said, I actually don't expect it. I mean, would I welcome it? Absolutely, I would welcome it. He's my favorite Spider-Man. Do I expect it? No, I don't. All right, what's next?
So this is breaking news. I just got 3 tickets to Screen Unseen. So I just want everyone to know that.
Breaking news. Jonathan Boyko going to Screen Unseen.
One thing I didn't expect, A-List is counted on it because I got
Yes,
3
it is.
tickets and I got charged for 2. So nice.
Oh, okay.
But
That's
you know
nice.
why? But it's actually not that great of a thing because it's only a $5 ticket.
Yeah. But
Normally
still.
my A-list is saving me $20.
Yeah.
Now it's saving me $5. But that's
Use
still
that
good.
money on
Still take it.
concessions.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. What's next?
From Miguel, sending in a $20 super chat. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Miguel.
Oh my gosh, you guys. Hey guys, have y'all seen the leaks that say one of the Ozark writers will be the showrunner of Lanterns? I know Reddit is not the most reliable.
No, it is not.
But this leaker has had some things right. Also, they're making the Question series.
I've seen the rumors that they're going to do a question series. I don't see it. I don't think there's an audience for it, to be honest with you. Like maybe there's some hardcore comic book people and hardcore people who followed that animated series that he was in, but that's a small group of people, but relatively speaking. But the Question is a James Gunn kind of character. I mean, look, James Gunn is doing Creature Commandos. Under anybody else's leadership, I never would have thought they'd do Creature Commandos. And so I don't think they'll do the Question, but I ain't going to say they won't because it's James Gunn and this is the kind of character he usually gets really excited about. So I don't know. We'll see.
Do you think it's going to be the Montoya Question or traditional Question?
I think it'll be a traditional Question. I think that's because that's normally the way James Gunn 9 times out of 10 will lean traditional. So we'll see.
Yeah.
All right. What's next?
From Ivan, again, breaks my heart that the Blue Beetle was a flop, especially since it was great. We expected it, but still sucks. Not sure why movies like Meg 2 and Paw Patrol made more. Movie-going audience is weird, man.
Yeah, I mean, it really was because Blue Beetle was a good little movie. I enjoyed it.
I liked it a lot.
I had fun with it. I really did. And I thought Sholo was really good as Jaime. It worked. But it didn't matter. And this, we talked about this for months before the movie came out. The data was all there. The audience has abandoned the DCEU. No DC, I mean, you've heard me say it 1,000 times, but no DCEU movie in the last 5 years, and there are 7 of them, have even made $400 million. Not one. Meanwhile, not one MCU movie has made as low as $400 million. I mean, it's just crazy. So we knew going into Blue Beetle, no one's going to go to see it. And it sucked because it deserved an audience, but not a surprise that it didn't get it.
I have a Meg 2 story for you.
Oh, boy.
Ooh.
My dad is a lawyer, right? And he and we try to do like weekly scotch tastings on Zoom together. And some other lawyers are sometimes on there and they'll talk about La La Land and I'll just kind of hang out. And every now and then we talk about the entertainment industry. He's like, you guys, you've heard of this movie, Meg 2? Yeah, Dad. It's Christine. It's the worst thing I've ever seen in my life.
It's so bad.
Oh, okay. Did you stop watching it? No. But the entire time he had a big legal brief to read, to review for somebody. And I kept thinking, I should do that instead. It's like, whoa, that has to really suck. Because I didn't catch that one. So that's the Jeff Carr review, you guys.
Yeah, the movie is not so good. All right, what's next?
Read a brief or stay in the movie.
Yeah.
That's the
Denton Jamie sending some support. Thank you, Denton.
Thank you, Denton Jamie.
From Christ Courage. I'm so happy to see that Rachel Zegler can promote this film. I fell in love with her in West Side Story. It helps that it's my favorite musical. And hope this gets the conversation away from Snow White.
Look, it's a very small sample size because, look, how was Rachel Zegler in West Side Story? She was fucking fantastic in that movie. Like, stunningly good. Like, Oscar caliber good. Then the only other thing I've seen her in was in not such as good of a vehicle in Shazam 2, which I don't care. I liked Shazam 2. I mean, it wasn't nearly as good as the first one, but I like Shazam 2. But it's not exactly the best material to work with, so she wasn't very memorable in that. Nobody was very memorable in that. So I don't really have a good sample size because, look, here's the thing. Remember Napoleon Dynamite?
yes.
John Heder, right? People saw Napoleon Dynamite and thought, this guy is going to be the next breakout comedy star. But not taking into consideration, yeah, he was legendary in Napoleon Dynamite. But that was one movie.
Yeah. He was okay in that what was that? The ice skating, the
Blades of
Blades of Glory
Glory.
with Will Ferrell.
He was
Like,
okay.
it-
But I feel like everyone wanted him to be Napoleon Dynamite in that. So
But I mean, that's the thing. Like, he had that one thing, And all of a sudden they make him the co-star with Will Ferrell. And this is back when Will Ferrell was still carrying all the juice.
Yeah.
It's like, let's make him the co-star with that. And it's like, he was never able to do that again. So Rachel Zegler in West Side Story, honestly, she could have gotten an Oscar nomination and maybe should have gotten an Oscar nomination. She was insane in that, but it's too small of a sample size. So I think we're going to get a much better sense. I mean, she looks good so far in Hunger Games, but if she can really kill it in Hunger Games, that'll go a long way for her. But, you know, we'll see. I'm not going to get too excited about her till we see more, but the little we've had so far, she's really fucking good. I mean, she's great. All right, what's next?
From Denton Jamie. Hi, John, Chris, John, and the legend Ray. Yeah. Thank you for all you do. Saw a clip from Marvels. I think Carol is going to die. I love Brie Larson, but it would be massive.
They're not going to kill Captain Marvel in this movie. No chance. No chance. They would definitely do some foreboding of it, I think, if they were going to be anything like that. I just don't see that happening, like, at all. But
Not from this villain, from what I can tell.
hey, listen, we talked about this on Open Mic yesterday. There's a chance that this villain is connected to Thanos and that we may see Thanos in this movie. In the newest TV spot, for those of you who didn't see Open Mic yesterday, in the newest TV spot, we hear Thanos say, and I'm paraphrasing here, so I'm not getting this word for word right, but basically we hear Thanos saying, there will always be someone else to carry on my work, which they may have gotten in Josh Brolin to say it before the actor strike happened. They may have pulled that from an unused clip in a previous movie. But if that's the case, if this character, if this new accuser was actually some form of disciple of Thanos, it adds a whole new dimension that finally, because I'm not interested in this villain. They've done nothing in the marketing to make me interested in who this villain is. If she's like a disciple of Thanos looking somehow, some way to carry on his work to try to complete what he started, suddenly that character becomes a little bit more interesting to me. But, you know, who knows? We'll have to see. All right, what's next?
From Andy. Kind of glad John isn't Harley Quinn today.
Yeah, I mean, I thought about pulling out the old Harley Quinn outfit. Here's the problem. It's like a 2-hour commitment for me to get into that thing with the makeup and the wig and all that kind of stuff.
Spanx.
And the Spanx, of course.
You know,
the
get those booty shorts, yeah.
The booty shorts. And
Those
then the
shorts are
whistles
booty.
I get when I walk down the street. Very
You
uncomfortable.
walk down the street with that.
Is it
I
uncomfortable
walk
to
to
be
work with
ogled
that
by
on.
men?
It's,
get a lot of catcalls?
It's a little bit. Not as much as I thought, but yeah, a little bit. Yeah, a little bit.
You have to shave both legs. That's why, not just one.
All right. What's next?
From Gus's gas station movie reviews. Fart.
Wow.
With a $13 super chat. Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much.
man.
My friend, the Loch Ness Monster, says that Monarch is using AI creatures taking jobs from actual kaiju.
Outrageous.
Strike! Unionize kaiju.
Outrageous. What the hell? What about all those actors who wear rebel monster suits? What about them?
Who knows how to work a table saw?
Oh, God.
You know that part.
South Park. Little South
I
Park.
can do
in there.
lawyer work. You need a lawyer? I don't. You guys haven't seen the new South Park, right? Chris, have you seen?
I
it?
have.
Yeah.
But the
It's-
Panderverse, right?
yeah, the Panderverse.
All right. What's next?
From Mexican Drug Lord. I'm curious if you think Five Nights at Freddy's would have been more enjoyable if you watched it in theaters full of fans or felt like a party pooper that you didn't like it as much as the fans did.
Which one makes it so you don't kill us, drug lord? Which answer are you
Yeah.
looking for?
yeah.
I'm sorry. It's just not that good of a movie.
What?
It's the dialogues. Five Nights at Freddy's.
Oh.
It's very sloppily made. It feels like a college film student made it.
Nice.
It has, again, I don't think it's a bad movie, but I think a lot of people were just looking forward to seeing Five Nights at Freddy's because it's the video game, and they did the thing that they did in the game. I just didn't think it was all that good. I didn't think it was all that bad. But listen, again, that's the beautiful thing about the art of movies, man. It's all subjective. It's going to hit some people a certain way. It's going to hit other people in another way. I wanted to like Five Nights at Freddy's more, but I found it to be a movie that had certain things going for it that I enjoyed, but overall a not well-made movie by people who aren't that great at making movies. That's just how I felt about it. But, whatever. Maybe they can do something better with the sequel. It's certainly hugely successful, though. No taken away from the massive opening weekend that it had for a movie, especially a movie like this. Huge success. Definitely going to be a sequel, and maybe they can learn some lessons and make the sequel better. All right, what's next?
From Andy, I hope Miss Minutes gets a physical body as she desires, just so I can watch her feel her subscription to life painfully end.
Oh,
Whoa!
I didn't know where you were going with that. Just
Yeah.
so she can feel what?
Yeah.
6:30.
Yeah, because
I'm sorry.
she was, I don't know if you saw it, Chris, but she was thirsty.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
She
thirsty.
wanted Victor Timely in a timely fashion.
Yes, she
That's a nice
did.
way of saying it.
Ride
Very
that time.
Victorian
stream.
age way of
Drink
saying
those
it.
minutes.
What's next?
All right.
From Vixter 5001, Odian here, does Scream Unseen 2 for scary movies?
Screen
Probably
unseen.
screen unseen.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm sure they can. I mean, this one won't be. It's a PG-13 sort of thing. Probably not, but they could. I don't know that they would do an R-rated film though, because that limits your audience,
Right.
potential audience even more. But I mean, theoretically, there's nothing stopping them from doing it.
Do we know how often they'll be doing this event?
My guess is going to be about once a month.
or something?
Oh,
my
he's not
guess.
asking it. He was saying it. At the Odeon here in the UK, Scream Unseen does scary films.
And it's
Oh,
called
right.
And it's
Scream
called it? Okay.
Unseen.
Yeah.
Oh,
Scream
okay.
Unseen.
Well, that makes
That
sense.
was fair though, you guys. I run Burgundy these. Or I'm going to take it at face value.
That's
All right.
actually a great
Yeah.
name.
I've
What's
gone
next?
Burgundy. From Vixter 5001 again. Quirky film out the 3rd of November for you. Fingernails on Apple TV. Riz Ahmed, Jesse Buckley, Jeremy Allen White. A sci-fi romance that's quirky, but I liked it.
I'm going to tell you, I've never heard of it, but if Riz Ahmed's in it, it's got my attention. That dude's good.
He's wonderful.
Fingernails.
Again, I've not heard. What was the name of the one? Like the final night, the last night. What was that one? I'm freezing on the name of it now.
With Riz
Night
Ahmed?
is in the title. Anybody in the live chat?
The
know?
Night
Night
of?
at Freddy's.
No, it
Just
wasn't.
the night of.
Night of. Thank you. Night of. All right. What's next?
Fingernails.
From Disgraceful Entertainment. Plot twist. They got y'all to the secret screening to Rickroll y'all.
I mean, like I said, there's
Cost me
many.
$10 for 3
There are
tickets.
many movies that could start playing that would basically be a manifestation of a Rickroll. Like, if it's not Next Goal Wins or The Marvels, like I said, I'm packing up and getting out of there. Or Godzilla -1, but I'm packing up and getting out of there. And here's the thing.
The others don't
If
really
they-
qualify. So
Exactly. But if they do drop something that is something nobody cares about, it's going to be the last AMC screen unseen that I ever go to.
Right.
I haven't
A
gone
lot
to
of
another
people.
Regal one, and I won't
How-
because they've already duped me, and I don't want to experience that again.
how far in advance was the last beer run? Like, was that?
A week.
So that tracks then.
Yeah,
If they're
so-
going to do about a week in advance, it would
Yeah.
be something
That's
like,
why I think it's those two, because
Yeah.
those two kind of check the boxes. All right, what's next?
Tips. No, not tips. Not tips.
Our YouTube
members.
members.
From Yo Tej, you guys seen the trailer for Manodrome with Adrian Brody and Jesse Eisenberg? Looks like a gritty but less intense version of American History X.
I have not. I don't. This doesn't sound like a theatrical film that I'm aware of. By the way, I've always liked Adrian Brody, like a lot. Him on Winning Time just made me. Pat Riley just made me love him even more. Like I really love him a lot. But no, I've not seen the trailer for this, so I'm not familiar with it. All right, what's next?
From Town, question for Chris. Yay. Do you have a GOAT list for voice actors? Are the likes of Mel Blanc, James Earl Jones, Orson Welles, Hank Azaria, etc. on that list? Happy Halloween. Those are all wonderful voice actors. They wouldn't be on my list personally. Mine would be, Steve Bloom, Tara Strong, Cree Summers. Those kinds of folks. My buddy Raul Ceballos is going to be on that list one day. He's amazing. He's wonderful. And he watches the show.
And also
wow.
Ray
He's
Ora.
great. Ray Ora, obviously,
Ora,
because
yeah,
your
of course.
impressions are flawless. Yeah.
All right, what's next?
From Dr. Stinky. Happy Halloween. One more day till Christmas time. I love you, Dr. Stinky. Anyway, what's everyone doing for Halloween? We're probably going to watch some scary movies. Got any recommendations? Other than the classics, Halloween, Scream, Friday the 13th, etc. Also, Chris, I had some time to check out Tucker and Dale versus Evil, and it's awesome. Anyway, love y'all, and Ray, rock that costume. Bring on the filthy.
My favorite, I think I've told this before, but I'll say it one more time. Tucker and Dale versus Evil hadn't come out yet. I'm at Comic-Con, and I'm in the press area, right? Where a whole bunch, they have this area tucked away where all the press is going on, where they have a bunch of rooms where a bunch of movies are, and they're sitting down with press and all that kind of stuff. And I'm on my way to something, I think, Marvel related. And I'm walking with my editor, Chuck Norris. Not that Chuck Norris, but my editor's real name was Chuck Norris. Still is his real name. Anyway, and we're walking down this big hallway in the upper level of the convention center. And one of the rooms has the big Tucker and Dale versus Evil poster on it. So that's where they're doing some press for Tucker and Dale. And he and I stop at the sign for a second. And I point to Alan Tudyk, who's one of the guys in one of the leads of the movie. And I point to him on the sign. I turn to Chuck and I say, I fucking love this guy. I love Alan Tudyk. And then I looked up and Alan Tudyk was standing right there and heard me say, because he was heading into the room himself to do press. And I look up and I suddenly felt really stupid. He just went, and then walked into the room and went and do press. So yeah, Alan, I highly suggest, I was talking about the other day, find it on streaming. Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon. Watch that. I think you're going to have a blast. All
Watch Wolf Cop. It's terrible.
Wolf Cop. Oh.
It's so bad. Oh. If
right,
you
what's
enjoy
next?
what The Boys does with penises, you'll enjoy Wolf Cop.
Oh my God.
All right. From Scott Logan. Hey guys, this is Scott here. Was wondering if Marvel's going to continue making bad quality movies
Yes.
or start making great quality movies again. Thanks for the great content, guys.
They aim to do that.
Did
so.
you see Guardians of the Galaxy 3?
Mm-hmm.
Did you see Shang-Chi? I mean, they've put out some great stuff. The problem is they've put out, and every studio puts out good and bad stuff, but the problem is Marvel lately has put out their ratio has gone way off. It used to be like 8-2, 8 great things for every 2 questionable things. Now it's like 5-5. And if you're talking about Disney Plus, it's like 3-5. It's lower, but make no mistake, they are still, I mean, look, everybody loved Werewolf by Night. Everybody loved the Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas special. Everybody loved Guardians of the Galaxy 3. I mean, they've continued to put out some really good stuff. They've just put out more not so good stuff than we're used to seeing them do. And I think a part of that has to do with the fact that Kevin Feige had his authority taken away from him. And now that he's got it back, I think we're going to start to see that turn around. We're not going to see it immediately, but I think we're going to see that start to turn around in the coming year or so. All right, what's next?
From CJ Rebirth. Hi, Chris. Hi, CJ. Was rewatching Mrs. Doubtfire a few months ago, and I was wondering if you've been in that type of room like Robin Williams was, where you're reading your lines while the footage plays in front of you. Yes, pretty much all dubbing is done in that manner, where the screen is on there, and this is Amy Newman's least favorite phrase in the universe. You have to match the mouth flaps. So you're
that's what's going
watching.
above us.
You're
Wow.
watching a screen. Yeah, that's what that sounds like. You're watching the screen, and you're kind of looking at your copy, and you're going back and forth between them, trying to match the intention of what the animators had and making sure that the words that are written there fit that. So a lot of times you do have that kind of situation happening. Not always, though. If it's something where you are recording prior to the footage being completed, a lot of times, like Disney films, they'll record you to kind of give the animators a basis for what your face is doing so they can match those words as well.
All right, what's next?
From JK, I don't understand why people take the issue of intermissions as if it were an either or, the same way that you can choose to watch a movie with or without subtitles, IMAX or Dolby. You should be able to choose an intermission or not. I like long movies, but 3.5 hours for Killers of the Flower Moon? Give me a break. Literally.
You know, we discussed this on open mic yesterday too. There was a story that we probably should have talked about, but there was a story going around that there was a couple of theater chains in the UK apparently that decided to have an intermission for Killers of the Flower Moon because it's fucking 3.5 hours long. And then I guess the studio, who's the studio behind it? Warner Brothers?
It was Apple.
Isn't it
Oh, no, it's Apple. You're right. Thank you. Apple and their distributing partners on this. I can't remember who their distribution partners on this are, but anyway, they like threatened action against these movie theater chains. I'm like, really?
Paramount.
It was, yeah, I thought it might have been Paramount. Really? Like, this movie's 3.5 hours long. You're going to have people getting up to leave and go to the bathroom. And those people who paid to come see your movie are now going to miss some of the movie that they paid to see. And as they're getting up and going back and forth to the bathroom, the people in those rows are going to be distracted from the movie, having people coming in and scooching by them. People might want to refill their drinks. You're going to have more people in 3.5 hours. You're going to have more people in that theater now pulling out their phones at some point and looking at their phones. You're going to be distracted by phone light coming out. Have a fucking intermission. Now, I'm okay if you don't want to tell theaters to have an intermission, but if a movie theater's like, you know what? We think it's good for our customers and will give our customers a better experience if we put in a short intermission in the middle of this very, 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 very long movie. And you have a problem with giving the consumers a better movie-going experience, that should be the 100% focus of your industry right now. How do we improve the movie-going experience? You have a 3.5-hour long movie, you should have an intermission. And you absolutely should allow a theater to make the decision to have an intermission if they feel that's what their customers want and what will give their customers a better movie-going experience. And there's just no excuse for that. And I thought it was really bullshit. I thought it was really bullshit. Like, I love Apple TV Plus. I really love Paramount. I do. I've got a lot of love in my heart for Paramount. But that was bullshit. That was really, really stupid on their part. So anyway, that's just kind of my take on it. All right, last question of the day. What's next?
This is from Mr. Kitty 5000. By the way, John, you lasted longer than me. I could only stand 9 minutes of Expendables 4 before I wanted to claw my eyes out.
I tried so hard. I sat there. I can't even tell you that. Ray will tell you I tried because he was asleep within about 90 seconds of the movie starting. Ray was passed out. I remember.
I was so happy because I thought you guys were waking me up to say, wake up, watch this movie.
No, I was waking you up to tell you when we were leaving.
And that was the best thing I ever heard. I said, oh, let's go.
I couldn't. And it's like, and I tried because I love Sly and I love Jason Statham and I like the Expendables movies. So every minute was atrocious. And I think, okay, maybe that's the worst and maybe it starts getting better now. And then the next 3 or 4 minutes are even worse. And I'm like, okay, this has got to be as bad as it gets. It's going to get better. And then 5 minutes later, it gets even dumber. And then it gets even dumber. And then about the 20-minute mark, I'm like, I turn to Ann and I'm like, I can't take it anymore. This is awful. Like, I can't, this is hurting my soul. I feel life slowly seeping away from my body. I can't take this anymore. And I had to get up and leave. Oh my God, it was so bad. It was so bad. Anyway, guys, that'll do it for today's Halloween installment of the John Campea Show podcast. Thank you so much for being here, making the show part of your day. Big special thank you to all of you guys who sent in questions, whether our YouTube channel members or those of you who use the super chat feature. Number one, because you give us really interesting things to talk about. But number two, you supported our channel as you did it. And all of us involved with the show, thank you guys so very much for your support. Guys, have a lot of fun tonight. If you're going to go out and celebrate the evening, make sure you do so responsibly. I want to thank the people in the room with me. Ray Ora.
Happy Halloween.
By the way, what is the name of your character?
Boo.
Majin Buu.
Or Rajin Boo.
By the way, those contacts on you are so freaky.
They are.
They're Jonathan Voico.
Later.
And of course, the delightful Chris Carr.
I'm dressed as Daria, but it's my regular clothes, I guess.
My name's John Campea. These are also my regular clothes. And until next time, my friends, bye-bye.